Hello and welcome to Opinions Plus. Um, I know in the past I've talked a lot about politics and the situation around, so many issues that are, in my estimation, foundational issues. Character, for example. Primarily character, character, character. It's the underpinning of everything. Well, I guess I can't get away from it, but, you know, there's massive amounts of literature over the years. These writers have delved into how people think, act, why they do what they do, all that stuff. And most of us, I think, are familiar with Leo Tolstoy, who, the writer of War and Peace. And I believe he fought in the Crimean War years back, as a young lieutenant, saw the tragedies of war and how the Russian aristocracy acted and didn't act, and the motivations of the people, the generals, all this stuff. You know, Fascinating work, but it's huge. Um, it's huge, and I just saw a bunch of short stories um, that he wrote, quite a few. Um, these Russian literary geniuses, Tolstoy and Dostoevsky and others, the Russian character, delving into it, delving into the essence of who people are. Not that they, can find the essence, not that they can um, alert us to any one particular way of life, but the exploration of it in these writings is quite amazing. One, it's called Father Sergius, 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 Father Sergius, um, or Sergius. My pronunciation, Russian or not, is horrible, but you know. But it's a fairly short work, um, and it explores how a man, how an individual, especially in the classic time of Russian, well, it's toward the end of the serf protocols, the serf mentality, um, and there's a change, an enlightenment that's going on in the Russian culture um, towards what people should be doing, how they should be acting, why they do what they do. And this Father Sergius is one person who um, started as a not a high level nobility, but was running in the race for it. He he had the some of the birth rights that aristocracy always had back then. Um, and it's not just money, it's the way you're born into something. But this young man had, certain standards, certain abilities. He was quite a dedicated man of excellence in everything he did. He excelled in everything he did. whether it was military training, horsemanship, dancing, whatever he put his mind to, he did the best he could and he excelled at it. He was a handsome man, apparently, as Tolstoy describes him. And he had everything going for him. He had a woman who his fiance for a short time was up there in the hierarchy of nobility, who was also, because these things aren't just clear cut. She was a mistress to the Tsar at one time. And, the people at the time, the nobility had this standard that they tried to live up to, or at least some did. A classic idea of right and wrong, good and bad. What's a good woman? What's a good man? Standards. Well, he found out, and she told him in the story, and he was just excited to be with her, and all these things, just everything was clicking along, just going his way. Then she told him, well, no, I was a mistress to the Tsar. She gave herself to this guy. Well, he couldn't take that. It really threw him a curve, mentally, spiritually. It destroyed his faith because he viewed the Tsar, naive. There was some level of naivete that is buried in people, this denialism, forgetting the human avarice, the human appetite for desires and fulfilling those desires. And he just let it go. And it really threw him a curve. And he ended up rejecting everything, gave his property to his sister and what he had, walked away from this wonderful future, excuse me, with this woman, and all basically, well, that was the preliminary excuse, but there was much more going on in this man's mind and soul, and his search for himself, and a very religious time too. Even though there was just unbelievable, goings on, debaucheries, and all kinds of things, there was just a tremendous amount of religious faith in the Russian culture. And these came, and butted heads against one another. And he ended up becoming a monk. Leaving everything, walking away, becoming a monk. And using the characteristics he had in his life, he excelled at it. He became a great monk, if one could do that. He found peace and harmony in this calling for a time. But people's character comes back. Started gnawing at him. Temptation started eating at him, especially temptations of what Tolstoy calls the flesh, for desires for women and his fulfilling of those appetites. And Tolstoy goes into all types of, discussions and depths and how he went from, going through such change in his life and yet keeping such high standards, trying to find who he was, trying to find his calling and his commitment to God and his commitment to himself, to his humanity. And at the end of it, it's very complicated. His life, he became a famous monk or priest holder to many, many people in the Russian community at that time. He was a healer, all these things, very spiritual, yet he didn't feel it. He lived a certain existence. Part of it was just because he had the social pressure to do it. But what was his true calling? He had a lot of conflicts. There's a story how an aristocratic woman came up to his hermitage when he was a hermit for quite a few years and challenged him in his extreme actions to defend against the temptations that she was giving him. And he was, it's amazing. It's truly his, the depth and the convolution of, most of us don't go through these type of things, but it illustrates the thinking of the complexity of humankind and what is good, what is right, what is decent. And at the end, he ends up finding himself as a person who wants to be closer to God by giving to other human beings. Sounds simple enough, but his efforts to find this path were extremely difficult. At times he had peace, and times he had harm, as many of us do. And other times we don't find that peace. We don't find that harmony. We are tempted. We are depressed. We are angry. We have all types of problems that we have to deal with. But it's the truth that surfaces if you're committed to finding that truth and the goodness of just being in the way I listened to the story and how it ended. The way I saw it, his commitment through the love that he gave to others, even though, he had all types of issues and whatnot. I mean, it's a very complicated story in the few-hour book. It's a short story, but it's really filled with all types of interesting things. But the exploration of it, you can find ourselves in these things. You can see what Tolstoy was trying to get at. Was he exploring his own mind? Was he exploring other people, the culture, the whole Russian issues going on during his lifetime? These men, these writers, women or men, but in the case of Dostoevsky and Tolstoy, they wanted to explore the mind, the morals, the fiber of who we are. And if you get on YouTube, and he's got a bunch of these short stories about different things. You might find these things of some interest. And they are relevant to today. We are all searching, especially in today's world. You don't just give up. And that's what he never did. He never gave up. He always took some time. He had, he wasn't just a young man finding his way at 21 years old or whatever. It took time. So I encourage you to listen to some of these things, to delve into the literature of the past, not just the things that are going on in today's world, but these writers explored so many different things, and the writers are everywhere. You can find them in science fiction. You can find them in these historical novels like War and Peace and the and analytical issues that Dostoevsky drilled in. Of course, these are Russian guys, but they're fascinating writers. And they have plenty of, others in different, they're all over the place. So. But it's a little different tact on a clip like this, encouraging literature, encouraging thinking, encouraging the reading or listening to, and the audio books that are available and are just amazing. Just amazing to put on your hip or walk with your phone in your pocket and listen to these things as you go about your everyday lives or driving in a car or whatever. They fill your mind with thoughts and ideas and hopes and dreams, and also asks you a lot of questions. And they're questions that are very interesting to explore. So thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment. These are kind of esoteric clips. They're just extemporaneous thoughts that come to my mind after I listen to this writer and the thoughtfulness that goes into it. Thanks for listening. Have a good day. I appreciate your viewership and the subscribers that are signing on. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye for now.